Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. I've been working on getting the Mittleider garden done, and I'm working on building my T-frames. And I was watching LDS Prepper's video where he built the T-frames for, I think it was Mary's garden. And I went back and rewatched the video last night, and I'm like, duh, I should have listened closer. And at first he said he cut the 4x4s to 6 foot lengths, then used the scraps to build the little angle pieces on the T-frame to reinforce the corners. And so I thought, oh, well, you just cut one of those in half and make 2 angle pieces. Well, I was wrong, because I looked, I'm like, those are way too short. What he did is he used the scraps to make some of the angle pieces, but then he cut up another 4x4 into 2 foot pieces to make the angles. So what I've been doing is just taking my little T-frame thing and making my 45-degree angle mark, and then I cut it. Then on this table saw, it's only a 10-inch one, and it doesn't go all the way through. So I have to flip it and cut it again. So I've got 3 of those in here. I'm getting ready to head out to cut me some more 2-foot pieces, because I have to make 4 of these T-frames. While I'm out there, though, I will show you what I've got done on the garden bed yesterday. Okay, so here's what I got done yesterday. Basically, this is 4 foot wide, 30 foot long. As you can see, this end sunk down into the ground pretty good, but the ground is so unlevel that by the time I got to the end with this all being level, there's quite a good size gap down here. So my plan is just to go get a couple truckloads of topsoil and fill this sucker up. I know a place where they're taking excavator and just put a couple bucket loads in there and top my pickup truck off with topsoil. And in Ohio, we have really good topsoil in Ohio. So, but that's like 20 bucks. Top off the truck, and that thing will be sitting low. I mean, it'll overload that half-ton pickup. And then I'll have to haul it back in on wheelbarrows because I can't really pull my truck back in here, which is fine. But basically what I did is I got the first piece set straight, level, and then I took a 2x6 and just sliced it up in 3/4 inch pieces on the table saw and made some 2-foot stakes all the way along. Some of these I just couldn't get hammered in all the way, so I'll just come back and chop those off with a reciprocating saw, make them flush. But then I just took these all the way down. I hooked them together with a piece of 2x4, kept everything level. Kept the kept putting stakes in to hold it up. So now I have a good solid garden bed. And what I'll probably do is along the edges here, pile up some dirt clumps or something, and then fill this all in with topsoil. If some runs out the bottom, that's okay. I'll just get it to where it'll mostly stay in there. On these real wide parts, if I have to put another piece of 2x4 under there, I might do that. I got extra 2x4s. But basically this makes a straight and level soil bed. It gives me something to edge and weed up against as well. And then of course the next one's going to be going beside it here. But what I want to do first is get the post holes dug and get the T-frames in. The T-frames are going to go every 10 feet. And then they're going to have 4 wires running through them for vertical growing. And then I'll have 2x4s along the outside edge of them. And they won't be cemented in the ground. they'll just be sunk in about 20 inches or so and filled in with dirt for the vertical growing. It makes it easier to move things around later if I need to by not using cement. And if I have to reinforce the posts to keep them from leaning at some point, I could do that if I had to, but I probably won't need to. So now I'm just going to chop some more 4x4s. These are the 6-foot posts that'll be the top of these T-frames that I've cut 2 feet off of. Then I'm going to grab a couple more out of the pile and cut me up some 2-foot lengths. I may have to run over and get some more 4x4s. I'm not sure how many more is down in here. I think I might have miscounted because I didn't think I'd have to cut one up for 2-foot scraps. I have some other 4x4s in my junk wood pile over here. I may just pull one of those out and cut it into 2-foot lengths. Granted, these are probably already have 10 or 12 years on them. But they are pressure treated. And as long as it's not the part that's in the ground, it would be pretty easy to replace that support later if I needed to. So that may just be the best way to go here. And then I can get rid of some of this junk wood and use it over again for something as well. I want to be frugal, but I really want to build this so that it lasts year after year and I don't have to redo it. If I'm going to invest $400 in all this wood, I would rather spend it once and use it for 20 years than to have to keep redoing it because I chose to use cheap screws or not the decking screws, or so I'm really trying to spend a little bit of money, a little bit more now if I have to, and have it for a long time. Okay folks, now kind of step out of my own shadow here. What I'm using is, I don't have one of those. Well, I do have one of those framing square things, but it's over in storage and I don't want to go get it. So I just took this thing off my table saw and I'm using that to make my marks. I just, measure the 2 feet out with the tape measure. And then I'm going to use this circular saw. It's just a 7.5 inch or something. Whatever it is, 7 and something. But it's what I got. It won't make a complete pass through a 4x4, so I have to cut it once on one side, then flip it, cut it again on the other side. Ideally, you would want to get a chop saw, a miter saw, either a 10-inch slider or a 12-inch that could go all the way through the 4x4. But since I'm not going to go out and spend a few $100 right now, I'm going to use what I have. And the miter saw would be ideal for making the angle cuts too. Don't have that, so I'm going to use my table saw. And I really hate table saws. I've known too many people that have lost fingers on table saws. I use one if I have to. Sometimes it's the right tool for the job. It's definitely the wrong tool for the job I'm trying to do right now, but I'm trying to make it work. And that's usually when you accidentally chop something off. So, but anyway, it's what I got, and I don't want to go spend the money, so I'm going to use that. I'm thinking, in retrospect, a better way to make these angle supports would have been to maybe use two 2x4s that I could cut and then nail them together. But I'm into it this far, so I'm going to do it this way. You can rent a miter saw at Lowe's, and it's not too expensive, but they're not open today. It's Sunday, so I'm going to use what I got to try to get this done. Folks, I got the 4x4s cut. There's the rest of them there and there. Basically, I just had to do 2 passes. I cut them all the one way and then flipped the thing and made all the other cuts. I got them pretty flush. Like I said, I hate working with table saws anyway. And then in this particular scenario, I'm mostly freehanding it. I've got this one miter piece that's too small for the wood I'm cutting. I can't run the blade guard because the wood I'm cutting is too big for the saw. I'm having to make 2 passes. I'm having to stop the saw after each cut and move things around. It's just, all I can say is you really, really have to take it slow, pay attention to what you're doing. Anytime I'm not using the saw for an extended period, like if I stop to get a drink or whatever, I unplug it. Just go really slow. Make sure you're always looking at your fingers and where they are and where the blade's coming. If somebody comes out and starts talking to you or interrupting you, you either have to just ignore them until the cut's finished or shut it down. I don't look up, I don't talk, I don't do anything while the saw's running except focus on the cut. Just like I said, I've known a few people that are missing one finger or more from using table saws. And it seems like when you are pushing the table saw beyond its limit and cutting stuff that's bigger than you're supposed to, that's when the accidents happen, folks. So probably would have been wise just to wait and go rent the appropriate tool, which is like a 10-inch sliding miter or a 12-inch miter chop saw. But I didn't do that this time. The other thing is, I've had a lot of people like make fun of me because when I use a table saw or a circular saw, I wear ear protection. You know, I had one friend last night. He's like, "Oh, those things aren't that loud." I'm like, "Well, good for you then." And I think first he said, like, "Oh, I'm supposed to wear hearing protection too." I'm like, "I don't care about your ears. You can stick your fingers in your ears if you want to. Well, those things aren't that loud." And I'm like, "Well, good for you." I've already lost some hearing from shooting guns in the past, and I'm not willing to lose any more. So I always wear my hearing protection. I got these at Harbor Freight. They're actually electronic. They have a microphone so you can hear what's going on around you until the sound gets beyond a certain decibel limit, and then it cuts it out, which is kind of nice. But I just always wear that. And then my regular eyeglasses are polycarbonate, or I would definitely wear safety glasses as well. So, just me, I try to be safe, especially with saws. I'm just not real big on saws, chainsaws, even reciprocating saws, they just scare me. One slip and you're missing digits. So, anyway, I'm going to start getting these T-frames together, and I'll show you the process as it goes along. This is Tom. Hey folks, my battery's getting low here. I'm starting to get the T-frames together. I've got the wood cut. I have drilled my holes at 4 inches and drilled another hole at 24 inches. It's 24 from the end, not 24 from the 4-inch hole. So from the end, 4 inches, 24 inches on both sides. That's where my wires will go. Then I went ahead and measured the center of this, basically marked a 45 and got my 2 nails set. Now, what I've done differently here from LDS is his nails that he lists, they're like I think a 6-inch nail, or maybe they're an 8-inch nail, I don't know. They only sell them in these like huge boxes, and it's like $60 for a box of these nails. And you only need I'm going to need like 12 of them, right? And there's hundreds in there. They don't sell them in smaller quantities. So what I did is I got a 3/16 bell hanger bit, real long drill bit, and I come down in here. I drilled all the way into that 4x4, all the way down in, and then I used these aluminum roofing or spouting nails to go down in there and hold that. Now you have to pre-drill all the way through because these nails aren't as strong as a steel nail, but they do. I mean, you just have to hammer it in very slow. If I had it to do over, I might use a slightly larger drill bit when I drilled this out. But as long as you go real slow, hammering it in, keep it straight, those go down in, they hold it just fine. Now we'll see what happens over time, because this nail is aluminum and wood is pressure treated with copper, and I'm not sure how that's going to work corrosion wise with copper up against aluminum. But hey, I couldn't afford the $60 for a box of nails that I'm never going to use. So this is what I did. But I got this one together. I'm going to put in the angle supports now, and then I might be calling it a day because it's getting kind of late. Anyway, this is Tom, your Frugal Prepper. Alright, there it is. My first Mittleider T-frame. Yay! 3 more of these to go for this bed. then 3 more for the 20-foot bed, and I will do it. One thing I'm gonna say is, if you lay all of your pieces out together as you're building these and cut them, then you can use the measurements from one and just transfer them to the next and the next. And then drill all the holes at once, so if you're building one, don't just build one at a time. It goes a lot faster. Now, I got this one together first, and now I'm making all the pieces for my others. And I'll make all the pieces at the same time and then put them together. But I wanted to get one done, make sure I did everything right, and then it'll turn into more of an assembly line process here, and I'll probably get the rest of these done in about the same amount of time it took me to do the first one. So there it is. I'll get these buried in the ground and get my wire up, and I'll have T-frames. Alright, my battery's about to die. It's getting late. I'm going to clean up, go inside and get something to drink and eat, and try to relax for a bit. This is Tom, your frugal prepper.